My name is Rosalind, and this is Emmanuel.
Emmanuel.
We have a sad story that we're gonna share with you, and some of you probably already heard it, and some don't. It's heartbroken because not only a mother's life is taken away, the daughter, you can say she's done. The brother who's gonna be alone, and I'm not sure where dad is. As we always say, the chaos that comes to our lives, how do we handle it? It's important for us to create that community to save our children in any ways that we can. Whatever it takes, we're going to have to do to protect them, help them mentally, emotionally, and we need to be there. A lot of times the children are going to tell you what they're going through, but they may be more comfortable to talk to someone else. And we have to keep checking on our children day to day to see if they're okay and what's going on in the brain of theirs, because they get stressed out and things goes on in the life that we don't know, and because we're busy with our lives trying to make sure they have a roof over their head, food, whatever they need, and sometimes we tend to forget that they need us as well. And some parents work two jobs, they don't have the time to invest in their children, which we should, as we say before, your children are your first priority. They're yours to take care to raise properly, like Proverbs say, raise your child the way he or she shall grow. And they need emotional support, physically, mentally, they need that. So we're gonna get into it right now. And mother's name is Tamika Tucker, and her 13-year-old daughter is Lataya Tucker. And what happened is she took the phone away from her, and the reaction that the daughter has is taking a knife and stabbing her to death. We don't know what's going on inside a home, but that says a lot. Sometimes we probably see one thing, but it's always going deeper than what we think. And that phone thing, it's very dangerous. We live in a time that we need them to have the phone. If we could take it away, it would be good as well. But because of the crazy world we're in, you need to know where your children at. If they need you in case of emergency, they have to have it. But the funny thing is, back in our time, we don't, we never
We
had a
never had a
phone,
phone.
And when the pager came out, it was like we were excited, but you still have to go to a payphone and call. And this is, we lived without it. But now it's so difficult, even grown-ups. It's so hard to take their phone away from them. So we're just going to have to get to the bottom of it, trying to find a way. How do we handle giving the children a phone? How do we process that? How do we talk to them? How do we go from there so this doesn't happen to any other children or any other mother? Emmanuel, go ahead.
Think about the story. It's just heartbreaking to see a story like this and not get emotionally connected to it, where a mom is trying to raise two children and in the process getting them a phone for whatever reason. Maybe it's for safety, maybe it's for distraction, and taking this phone away from the young daughter, 13-year-old, and not know how to cope with disciplinary action, and the only way she can cope with it is to kill her mom and also stab her brother. And so this world is perverse, like we've been saying before. And again, we as parents and adults need to find some type of medium. For myself, and I know for Rosie, it's a biblical background, is church. And we talk about having a psychiatrist, or you can call them a therapist or an elder, because these children sometimes they're not gonna tell you what they're coping with and what's really in their back of their head. Remember, these kids are further ahead than you are right now, where you're worried about bills and taking care of FP&L and mortgages and so on. These kids not worry about that. Sometimes they don't even worry about school. I noticed recently these kids worry about prom, where they dress up and have fancy cars to go to prom. And so we need to really, 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 really get down to it and be a friend to our children and also be a parent to our children. Because a lot of times we become too friendly with the kids and then they have no respect for you. You know, when they arrested the young lady, they asked her what was she feeling, what emotions was she feeling. She says she was feeling regret, guilt, and what was the third one?
Discuss.
Self disgust. It's a little bit, late, but can you imagine now the mom lost her life, the brother lost a sister and a mother, and she's going to be in prison for a long time. So how do we get to what do we do and how did we get to this point? But one of the things I read on the news, they want to ban TikTok, and again, I don't think that's a solution. I think the algorithm has to be monitored to see what's coming through, and but as parents and school, I think we do have a little bit too much freedom where these kids can get detached to these phones, where the only recourse for just taking the phone maybe for a day is to kill your mom. And these stories are happening all the time. I saw a teacher took a phone from a student, and the student beat the teacher up, literally. And so, as a community, I remember there was a book. I think I forgot who wrote the book. It takes a village to raise a child, and I think it does. All of us have to pull together in order to give these kids sound advice when they're going through these emotional situations.
Yeah, as you said, banning social media, it's not really the cure to our children. Parents, you have to have some ground rules. We're not saying that she didn't. We're not saying that there weren't no rules. But before handing a phone or to a child, they have to know the rules, because if you break the rules, the phone is gonna go away. Let them know that the phone is not yours. Because first of all, at 13, you're not working. So I'm allowing you to use the phone if I need you, if something happened. As you know, sometimes there's probably chaos in school, shooting, and I need to know your whereabouts. And if you have an emergency, to call me. So I think there's certain ground rules we need to set up before just hand your child a phone. To them, when you just give them a phone, it's theirs. I need you to know, hey, I'm lending you this phone. It's not yours. First of all, you're not working. And here are the ground rules I'm going to set up. If you break any of the rules, anything happen, know that it's going to be taken away from you. You understand? This is how you'll set the rules so they understand that, okay, this is not my phone. Mom is lending it to me and I need to be very careful. Make a list. Make sure you sit down to make sure they understand that. Because if you hand your child a phone with no rules, because it's okay, this is my phone. And I've seen some children say this is mine, you can't take it away from me. Even if they probably get a job. You allow them to work at 16, they buy the phone, it's theirs, but still, you underage, you want my home. I set the rules, not you. Until you can go on your own, if you live by yourself, this is you do whatever you want. As long as you're here, you're going to have to follow. I don't care, you buy the phone, but you need to follow my rules.
I mean, I agree with it, with that concept. But I think everything has to be on the table, right? That's a great idea, to set rules and to set standard. And if you break these set rules, then you lose the privilege. And the phone is a privilege. It's not a right, because like Rosie said earlier, we grew up without a phone. We grew up without a phone and we lived. But now with all the peer pressure and all these predators that's out there, for our sanctity and our peace of mind, we give our children phones. But we got to remember, with these phones come a lot of attachment, a lot of devilish stuff that's in these phones, and it can take your life or your time, because sometimes you get caught up in social media. If you're not careful, you'll spend 2, 3 hours, 4 hours on social media. But I think it start from ground up, like the Bible said in Proverbs 22, train up the child in the way that you should go, and when they're old, they will not depart from it. The thing with even that, when the kids go to school, they have other people in their mind. When everybody is not cohesively on the same level with the same mindset and attitude to raise these kids nowadays. Where you can do a job raising your child and somebody come in and say, hey, your parents is a fool, or your aunt is a fool, your grandma's a fool. This is new time, that they're just old and prehistoric. And I've seen that happen. And we have to remember, life was more pure back then. There was more peace. There was never this much animosity and hatred and all this stuff. I know we have a way of finding out more things because of the phone. Because there's another story. I saw a young lady push her cousin in the water. Instead of pulling him out of water, they were recording it. So anything that's happening wrong now, people are recording it instead of helping. So people are being killed. People are in accidents where everybody should jump and help. But this phone thing is just, it's the devil that's alive and well through these phones.
You said the phone is the devil?
Well, I said the devil is alive and well through these phones.
Oh.
So it's a fact. Because every medium that the devil can use to get to you, he'll do it.
Not to cut you. I think that the thing is, it has to be with self-control. Because I was just telling you about the example. A lot of people are saying money or gun is the devil, or the gun kill people. In actuality, if I put a gun on the table, it's not gonna deflect itself unless I take the gun and actually squeeze the trigger.
Agreed.
If I put the money on the table, it's not gonna kill you as my brother, but unless if I do the action.
Agreed.
So the thing is raising your children to have self-control. And I'm gonna bring my sister, which I applaud her for that, the way she raised her children. They're like 7, 9, and 10. She allows them to use the phone, but the phone is not their life. They're not gonna throw a fit if she takes it away, because she's trying to teach them to understand. They use the phone a lot. Don't get me, because they homeschool. They used to be homeschooled. Now they're going to school. But when they used to be homeschooled, they use the phone and internet a lot. But at times when they're not behaving, she'll take it away from them. But you know what they do? They become creative. They'll take boxes. They create stuff. They take any little empty bottles. They become, without the phone, they're okay, because they collect every trash in the house and make stuff, with their cars. Even if you take the cars away from them. I think that's what we need to start doing. Go back to the old time, training the children. The phone is an object. Whatever it is, a car, a toy, whatever, it's an object. And you have to have self-control. You have to teach your children to learn to live with or without. God forbid, what if there is no more internet? What are you going to do? Are you going to kill yourself? Mm-hmm. You understand? You have to train your children to learn to live with and without. That's what I bring the ground rules. Before, that's what the communication with the parents and the children have to be there. We have to have that communication with our children. Anything that you're giving them, your children, hey, I'm giving you this as a privilege. I'm doing this. These are the rules you must follow. Just remember them. To me, it's best.
For sure. And we're talking from a blind eye because we weren't there. Hindsight is 2020. We don't know what kind of rules that this mom set. And that's what we call disobedient, because you can set a rule and the person disobey the rule. And clearly there was a disciplinary action by taking the phone. And then the kid reacted the way she reacted. And she has regret now, but these emotions that these children have, these anger that they have, that's why we saying that they need therapy. They need to deal with these emotions, if not through religious forum or a professional help, mm-hmm. whatever help, a third party. Sometimes they even open up to aunties, different, a little bit separate from the parents. So, like I said, it takes a village. It takes everybody together cohesively, and your parents has to go to your schools, see who your teachers are, speak to the teachers, because you don't know who's influencing your kids.
You don't.
And all of these things are very, very important. So it's sad. Everybody loses. Even us that's not a member of this family, we lose by seeing and having a young mom, 44 years old. She's
Mm-hmm.
young,
Very
you know,
young.
very young. This kid is only 13 years old, barely starting life. And then you have the younger brother. So it's a net loss for society, it's a net loss. And these things can't be examples for other kids who's going through these emotions because, and these, again, too, I'll tie this in. This, some of the songs that they're listening to, some of the lyrics to the song, don't tell them to be like saints. They learn to cope with indifferences by, you know, anger, by shooting, by fighting, by whatever. So we have to, us that's in this, we're in this together. So we
Mm-hmm.
have to put our minds together and see how we can help these children. If you're a minister, you need to do more children uh, groups, or have more youth forums so they can express their true feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you don't know how they're going to express it, but they have that forum. They can feel free to express it. Let the parents be in another corner somewhere and let the kids be kids and speak to each other. And they can have some type of forum to discuss these things.
And something that just came in mind, I was watching this little documentary. Some children, they get involved in dancing, choreography,
Hmm.
because, they say that's another way of releasing stress. And I think sometimes parents, they kind of stop their children to get involved. Maybe that's what, get them in a zone where they calm them down. For me, it's writing. When I'm writing, I'm in my zone. It's like I'm free. It's just like I'm in a new world. I don't see anything. It's just what I love. So again, trying to find what they love that would ease their mind from stress, because there are certain things. Some is music, some is singing, instruments, whatever it is. That's why I say, have that communication. You can ask them what eased your mind, what really stressed for you. Have that communication, and they'll tell you. Whatever it is. Is it music? I'll get you an instrument. I'll put you in music. Is it whatever activities? Is it sports? Whatever. Find out. Don't tell them. Don't dictate them what they should do. Find out what they want to do, what they love to do, what ease their mind, what can really stress for them, then get them involved in this type of thing. And that young man too, that witnessed his mother being killed by his sister, he's gonna need some intense therapy. And
Absolutely.
whoever is gonna take care of him, I don't know if it's a family member, they need to get this young man to therapy, because he's gonna need it, because that's a total nightmare. Not only he lost his mother, but his sister. And we don't know where that is, but he's gonna need that. That's very hard, and it's heartbroken to see something like this happened. And again, you have to talk to your children regardless when they come from school, because there's a lot of bullies in school, and some children, they're just followers, they're not leaders. And you have to train your child to be leaders as well, because they feel like if so and so, the popular child is not their friend, they feel like they're nobody. No, that's not how it is. You don't need, to follow somebody else. You don't need to be. You be who you are. Be yourself and be happy with who you are. You know.
I can agree with that point Rosie just made, which is finding interest that these kids have, and it's funny that you said that, because the pastor was saying today that he's paying for whoever wants to play an instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Just come for the summer. There'll be summer camp. They're
Mm-hmm.
paying a brother to come and teach them how to play music.
Mm-hmm.
And learning that instrument is not only for the church, because you'll live with that forever.
Right.
You know, you can have a time where you want to get away. You can take your guitar and go outside, or go in your other room. You play your piano, keyboard, and de-stress. And back in the day, I had my best friend. I mean, he's like a brother to me, Rashnell. We used to be outside building bicycles, because after you did your homework, there was nothing to do besides watching TV. So I'd go to his house and we'd meet up and we'd go pilfer from different trash cans, and we would get bicycle parts and build bicycle. We would skate around the house. We were outside, and most kids were outside back then. Now kids are not outside, and if they don't have an interest, to vent like an instrument, like a something that they
Play
love
games online.
by letting them take dance classes, or like Rosie said, then they're caught up in this, and once they get disconnect from this, it's like life is over. So I think that's a great point, is to find what they're interested in. If it's sports, and I know there's a lot of fathers and mothers out there that do that with their kids. So those to their kids, I applaud them. But find out if it's sports they like, and sometimes it might not be sports. It might be,
Keep them
again,
busy.
keep them
Whatever to
busy.
keep them busy away from the phone,
I agree.
you do it. Because they have to understand that the phone is not your life.
Exactly.
It's just you have it. You have to learn to live with and without it. Anything in life, because things happen. You find people who have money, they lose it all. They lose their home. They end up homeless. So what do you do in a case like this? So you have to, like I said, that conversation. You have to have it with your children. Have that communication. Find out the problem. Sometimes you see the children react, and the thing is much deeper than we think.
For sure.
And whoever is in their life, a family member, like, again, you have to be careful who you let in. Even family members, you have to be careful who you let them in, because you have to do the monitoring too. But at the same time, whoever you see they're more comfortable, if it's not a therapist, if it's auntie, like you say, or uncle, they can share it. If his dad, let them be with that person, because certain secrets, they probably, like some children, they tell secrets to mom, but they're not gonna tell dad. They're comfortable with mom. Whoever they're comfortable with, have that conversation. Whoever they fear the most, that do the job. So again, it's very sad, and I'm hoping that we can have that community to help our children. We are our brother's keepers.
Absolutely.
We have to keep out and help one another. So I hope that you learned something from the conversation we have. And as you know, I'm a realtor. If you need to rent a home, buy, have questions, or you need notary services, you can contact me. My information is going to be below in the description, so you can go ahead and call me.
Don't forget to like, subscribe,
Yes.
and share. If you hear anything that touch your point of view, don't forget you can comment, ask questions, or you can disagree. We're not one of those that think we're always right. So we might,
No, absolutely
we
not.
want to hear
We don't.
another point of view. But keep this family in your prayer. With that, peace.
Have a nice one. We'll see you next time.